It's been a while since I've done one of these, and honestly, I was having trouble finding out what my next character should be. Although, now that I think about it, one was standing right in front of me the whole time. A license that behavior got, but used on the wrong property. Terminator. But I kind of ran into trouble thinking up of a concept for the Terminator. Because the whole point of this thing is that he's an unstoppable machine with absolutely no way to slow him down. And as you know, that does not work very well in Dead by Daylight. What does work well in concept is, well, stealth, strength, and everything in between. The Terminator is a strange case. I'm honestly not quite sure what on earth the Terminator's power should be. I did come up with a rough concept, and that's what this video is. Please let me know what your concept for the Terminator would be in the comments below. And, as always, thank you for watching. But, enough of the sappy stuff. Let me introduce you to the world of the Terminator. No fancy intro this time, we're just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna get one thing out of the way. There's no survivor for this chapter. Mainly because I couldn't think of much for the survivor. But as for map and killer, don't worry, it's business as usual. Please let me know your idea of who the survivor should be and what their abilities should be in the comments below. Please do. But as for map, yes, we're going to be talking about map first. That's going to be interesting. The map is going to be very simple. It's a giant factory, like the one seen at the end of Terminator 2. Now, what's interesting about this factory is that, for the first time ever, there's going to be some interactable elements. And I'm not just talking about that one simple little thing in the Nostromo map right now where you can bring a key card in sometimes. I mean, there's going to be a machine that you could use as both killer or survivor to damage the survivor or stun the killer. It's going to be very interesting in that case. This is also going to be a new mechanic that I had decided to add for my sequel. Yes, for the first time ever, survivors can actually kill the killer. But hold on, there are some problems with that. AKA some restrictions, because otherwise this is going to be way too powerful. Okay, so first of all, survivors now have two objectives, and they need to complete one or the other. Killing the killer is one of them. The other one is, well, whatever the map requires. In this map's case, you need to complete the repairs of several generators, but this time you need to use pieces used all around the place, pieces of scrap, and you need to assemble them into new generators. Yeah, that's right, you're not fixing generators, you're building generators this time. It's going to be a little more interesting than what I make it sound like. To kill a killer, you have to essentially focus your fire on them for quite a while with any machine weapons you got. And in this map, there is sort of a killer insta-kill. The crane. But the crane is slow, and you can only use the crane once every 60 seconds. Maybe it should be 80 seconds, but I don't have any way to test this. But every 80 seconds, let's go with that, you can use this crane to pick up the killer. The crane is slow, so you have to get it right. And if you miss, you have to wait for it to recharge. The killer can also use it against you to sacrifice you immediately. Killing the killer is not going to instantly win you the whole thing, as that will only make them wait for about a minute or so. Think of Granny. I know that was a very weird thing to bring back up. I know you probably forgot about that series, but think of it like Granny, where you can kill Granny, but only for a limited time, for about a minute or so, and then she comes back to life. Now, I am changing the values. Killers like Trapper, Wraith, and Hillbilly are going to be a little easier to kill than people like It or the Horror, who are manifestations. In fact, the Horror and It are some of the only killers that cannot be killed. The Terminator is another killer who can be killed, but it's going to take a lot more than firepower to kill him. The Terminator's whole shtick is that he is next to impossible to destroy. So I have rated a new system for the killers, ranging from flimsy to indestructible. So people like Wraith and Legion would be on the flimsier side because they're essentially normal human beings with supernatural powers. Meanwhile, the Horror and Pennywise would be on the indestructible side since they're essentially gods. Terminator would be somewhere in between in a new mechanized category where you can kill them, but it takes more than just firepower. If this is all confusing, I will probably explain all of this in a separate video. This is something I literally just thought up. Anyway, now with the map out of the way, let us get into the Terminator's power. The Terminator's power is, well, it's a little crazy. The Terminator is essentially the perfect machine. First of all, know how I said that killers could, in the first video of the series, that killers cannot use weapons that the survivors can? Yeah, well, guess what? A Terminator is one of the only killers that breaks that rule. Because not letting the Terminator use any weapons is kind of criminal, to be honest. But the Terminator does have a few of his own tricks. For instance, the Terminator has time displacement. Because the Terminator is sent from the future, he does have the ability to travel through time, essentially, into different locations. Essentially, it's a teleport that is on a cooldown of like 60 seconds, so you can't just spam it. This is inspired by Mortal Kombat, why do you ask? But the Terminator also has a passive ability, Tough Endoskeleton. Look, the name needs work, I know, but essentially, the Terminator is basically immune to stuns for a good while. For the first 3 or so stuns, when you try to stun him with something like a pallet, he'll just shrug it off. In fact, he'll probably just break the pallet. Bullets will just deflect off his skin, and he'll just keep walking like nothing is going on. The Terminator is by far one of the strongest killers. However, after a few stuns, he will begin to short circuit. When in the short circuit state, he's essentially a normal killer who can use a weapon. While short circuiting, stuns and flashlight blinds will work on him like normal, and he will even wince in pain when being shot at. However, this short circuit does not last forever. Think of it as sort of singularity short circuit, except it lasts for let's say 30 seconds. So you only have 30 seconds to get this done. Now, how else would you get this guy into short circuit? Because dang it, stunning him 3 times, that is really difficult. There is one other way. Another thing we're borrowing from Singularity, the EMP. However, unlike the EMP from the game, you have to craft it yourself. By that I mean you need to scrounge up some materials, depending on which map you're on, to make an EMP. Once you do that, you can use it one time to get this killer into the short circuit state. Also, this will instantly stun him, meaning you can get some work done. As a cute little Easter egg, if he's playing on his own map, and you happen to use the crane on him, it will kill him instantly, but he will do a little thumbs up like he does at the end of the second movie. The Terminator also comes with a motorcycle. This is why he's a slightly slower than average killer. This motorcycle can only be used every once in a while. It's on an 80-second long cooldown, but once it's done cooling down, the Terminator can pull out a motorcycle and start driving around the map. Think of it kind of like the Blight's Rush, except a lot more controllable. However, if a survivor shoots it even one time, it's going to blow up, instantly causing the Terminator to short circuit. This is going to be a very, very interesting power. And honestly, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to include it, but it's the Terminator. It's what he's known for. The Terminator cannot use the motorcycle while short-circuited. If a survivor is hit with a motorcycle, it'll instantly explode, taking both the Terminator and the survivor down with it. This won't instantly kill the survivor, but it will bring them dangerously low in health. So, stay alert. But you also don't really want to do this unless this is your last option, because it will also bring you into short circuit. And as we all know, that's when you're the most vulnerable. So instead, the Terminator can also use weapons while driving his motorcycle. Now, that's all I got for now in terms of power, but in terms of everything else, the Terminator does have 3 unique passives. Passive number 1, I'll be back. I just had to include it somewhere on there. Come on, it's his most famous line. But passive number 1, I'll be back. I'll be back activates when you are in a chase. While in a chase with the Obsession, or any other survivor for that matter, but it's most effective on the Obsession, and then you drop the chase for whatever reason, you will instead see the aura of that survivor for a good long while. Let's say 10 seconds. When you. Whilst the survivor's aura is red, they will become oblivious. Also, as a little Easter egg, you will say, "I'll be back," once he drops chase. You see, what I hope this perk does is discourage tunneling, because you also get a slight speed boost when you decide not to tunnel. But if you return to that survivor, then they will become exposed. So it's like the Terminator is leaving to get something, and then when he comes back, he's more powerful. The second one is Perfect Machine. Perfect Machine essentially increases his toughness by quite a lot, making it so that bullets just do not work. However, if he's brought into short circuit, it lasts for 60 seconds instead of 30. So you have to weigh your options there. His final ability is, it's my favorite, but it's simply known as Liquidation. You equip this, you will turn into the T-1000. And while you have most of the same abilities, the T-1000 can now slip through obstacles. Now, obviously, this is not balanced at all, and I really doubt that this license is ever going to return. Please let me know how you will improve my ideas in the comments below, because I literally just thought up half of these things. But yeah, that was the Terminator. I hope you at least semi-enjoyed my crazy concept, because even I'll admit that this concept is kind of stupid. But, as always, I am the Gamer Nerd, and until next time, I'll be back.